All right, is that time of the year again? It is yearly album list time. My personal list will be out within the next few weeks. There are still some albums dropping that could make the list. Until then, some of the biggest music publications are starting to roll out their list. Over here, we have Rolling Stones, one of the biggest publications, and they just dropped their list for the 100 best albums of 2022. You know, when it comes to these websites, they tend to play it really safe, putting on the most popular albums of the year instead of the best, hoping for the best. Hopefully there's some good picks, maybe there's some bad picks. I guess we just have to see. Let's get into it. They have Willow with a Coping Mechanism, an album where she really went all out rock on this, and I think she did a pretty good job. Like, as far as the mainstream goes, I think she's done it probably the best. Certainly better than like a Machine Gun Kelly. So I did like this album, so cool pick, I guess. Number 95, they have Natalia Lafourcade, who just dropped this album a few weeks ago. I checked it out because so many people were giving it so much love, and it is really, really good. Definitely one I'm gonna have to give more listens to for sure, but we're off to a pretty good start here so far. Number 91, Lizzo Special. You know, a list like this, I would expect Lizzo to be a lot higher just based on her popularity. This album wasn't the best, definitely not better than her last. It's not bad by any means. There are a lot of great 80s inspired tracks still on it, but I feel like 91 is a fair place. Oh my goodness, number 82, JID, The Forever Story. There is no way in any world whatsoever that there's 82 albums this year better than this JID album. There's just no way. That's not reality. Conan Gray at 81. This is higher. Like, no disrespect to Conan Gray whatsoever. His music isn't bad by any means. I think he's still growing as an artist. But to sit here and say this album is better than the JID, like, anyone in their right mind that goes and listens to the JID album and then listens to this album and says, yeah, you know what, the Conan Gray album is better, that's insane. Like, conceptually, lyrically, the production is all stellar on that JID album. Yeah, this just isn't making sense to me. Number 78, Giveon, Give or Take. I was really hyped for this album when it was first announced, but it wasn't that great. And to say it was better than the JID, again, no. Lado at 76, 777, another album that isn't terrible, but they're saying this is a better hip-hop record than JID? Like, come on. Number 75, Rina Sawayama, Hold the Girl. I do love Rina. Her album from a few years ago, I was absolutely amazed by. This one, she definitely leaned more towards that pop direction, and I guess you could see this is why. It's paying off. A lot of people are starting to recognize her, which is cool. I'm not that crazy about the album, but Rina Love is a W. Number 74, Saba, A Few Good Things. That's cool. This album was pretty good. I haven't gone back to it as much as I probably would have liked to. Probably won't end up too high on my list, but Saba Love is nice. Number 72, Future, I Never Liked You, one of like the best-selling hip-hop records of the year. To me, I think it's one of Future's better albums. Not one that I am totally in love with, but I feel like this is a fair placement because there is some of like the best hip-hop tracks of the year on it, so fair enough. Number 66, Drake and 21 Savage, Her Loss. I do think this is one of Drake's better albums in like a long time. I think 21 Savage brings out the best in him. But this is just another one of those albums where I'm sitting here, I'm just like, how is this higher than the JID? It just once again shows that these publications, they are more for the popular artist than the people who are actually putting out the best albums. At number 60, they have that Mitski album that dropped earlier in the year. Mitski is just one of those artists that is just so respected that she's going to end up on all of these lists. This album was another one that wasn't bad, but wouldn't be in my personal list. Number 58, Ari Lennox, Age, Sex, and Location. It's nice to see it on the list, but I just feel like this is one of the best R&B albums of the year, period. I would put it a lot higher personally. This album needs way more love. At number 53, they have Quavo and Takeoff, Only Built for Infinity Links. You know, after Takeoff's passing, I actually did go back to this, and it was a lot better than I initially gave it credit for. Definitely better than like the past couple of Migos projects. Definitely sounded more inspired, so I respect this pick. At number 49, they have the Maggie Rogers album. Another one of those artists, once again, that always shows up on these lists just based on her artistic ability. Wouldn't put it on mine, but all right. Number 47, Mavi is a really cool pick. One of the best rappers in the underground scene right now. Nice to see him get recognition. This is kind of an unexpected one. Nice to see. Number 44, Sabrina Carpenter, Emails I Can't Send. I don't think her music is bad, but I feel like it's very derivative of like Ariana Grande and a lot of the more popular pop artists. A little bit too high, in my opinion. Number 37, The Weeknd, Dawn FM. I don't know what it is with this album this year, but it is being severely underrated, especially being the fact that it is a Weeknd album, one of the biggest artists of the past 10 years. In my opinion, one of his best albums, period. This album is not getting enough love, should be a lot higher. I don't get it. At number 36, Camila Cabello. Did anyone even know she dropped an album this year? Like, better than The Weeknd? Are we serious? Number 32, Brent Faiyaz, Wasteland. There are a lot of tracks I like on this, but I feel like he's always compared to The Weeknd, even though The Weeknd doesn't really make the type of R&B Brent makes these days, but still, like, it wasn't better than The Weeknd album. Number 29, Earl Sweatshirt, Sick. I do like this album a lot. Probably will end up on my list, so respect that one. 24, Daddy Yankee, Legend Daddy. Actually haven't heard this album, but the name is hilarious. This cover art is hilarious. Charlie XCX, Crash at 23. Once again, I feel similar about this one that I do the Rina Sawayama album. Both of these albums went towards that more mainstream pop direction, and you know, there's reasons for that. A lot of these publications are starting to recognize their music more, which is cool. I wouldn't put it on my list, but I love Charlie, so cool. Number 22, Drake. Honestly, never mind. They think this is better than Her Loss. They have this higher than Her Loss. I'm not gonna get into what I don't like about this album, but I just think 22 is ridiculous and a horrible placement. All right, heading into some of the top 20 here. Noah Cyrus, The Hardest Part. Noah Cyrus, a top 20 album of the year. Okay. Number 19, Vince Staples, Ramona Park, Broke My Heart. I really do like this album, one of my most listened to of the year, honestly, so good pick. This Megan Thee Stallion album at number 17. I do like Megan. I do think this album has a lot of good tracks on it, a lot of banger tracks on it, and to have it this high of all the hip-hop albums before, Megan is one of those artists that by her name will end up at the top of a lot of these lists, but I gotta disagree here. Heading into the number 15 here, we have this Omar Apollo album, Ivory. I really do like that track, Evergreen, a lot. I literally went back to this album just a few days ago, just because he's gotten so popular over the past, like, couple of months. Obviously, this album came out, like, earlier in the year, and I still didn't really love it, but I definitely think Omar Apollo is an artist to watch within the next few years, so this is fun. Number 14, Steve Lacy, Gemini Rights. Yes, 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 yes. Great album, fantastic album. 14 is a very fair spot. Steve really did show off his full talents on this one, so good choice. Number 11, Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale, and the Big Steppers. Not even cracking the top 10. In my opinion, this should be top 10 on most lists, bare minimum. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the albums they picked over this. All right, heading into the top 10, we have Wet Leg, the self-titled album that they dropped, which I wasn't too familiar about Wet Leg up until a few weeks ago, but I gave their music a listen after they were nominated for all those Grammys, and it is pretty good, so I get the pick. Number 9, J-Hope, Jack in the Box, BTS member, solo album. That's fine, I guess. Number 8, FKA Twigs, Capri Songs. Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite Twigs albums. She really went all out with this one, really experimenting with a whole bunch of different genres. Super diverse album, will probably end up pretty high on my list as well. Ooh, this one is interesting. Number 6, Pusha T, It's Almost Dry. I do love this album. I think it's great production-wise. Pusha T, great lyrically. This high, though, I'm not sure I would agree. I don't think this is better than the Kendrick album. A few of the hip-hop albums before this, specifically 2, I don't think were as good, but Pusha Love, I will never complain about. Top 5 here, starting off the top 5. Harry Styles, Harry's House. Obviously, Harry Styles had a gigantic, huge year this year, especially with this album, with all the amount of records it broke and how long it was charting the charts. You know, that Sushi Restaurant track I think is really good. As It Was, I even like as well, like one of the biggest songs of the year. And Late Night Talking, a few other tracks, really good. But a top 5 album this year, absolutely not. Absolutely not, in my opinion. Number 4, Rosalia, Motomami. Really cool to see Rosalia getting so much love on a lot of these lists this year. Not as good as her last, but still a really dope and unique Latin record. So, cool. Top 3 time... Taylor Swift. Midnights. Yeah, this album is going to be at the top of a bunch of lists as well, and I am going to be disagreeing with that heavy. Not a horrible album, but definitely not one of her best. Like, Folklore is better. Evermore is better. Just in terms of, like, the pop albums that Taylor Swift has made, this is not one of my favorites. Yep, not crazy about this pick. And then at number 2, Bad Bunny, Un Verano Santi. I do think this album is good. It is a little bit long, in my opinion, a little bit bloated, but I think the love it gets is fair. All right, number 1, Rolling Stone's Best Album of the Year. Album of the Year is Beyonce, Renaissance. Yeah, this album's gonna be topping all of the list, and for good reason. It is fantastic. Beyonce really came back after such a long time with a great album. She really gave justice and paid good homage to electronic music here, while also blending a lot of other genres. Yeah, this album is great. It's fantastic. It's amazing. So a bit of a safe pick, but it's fair. It's reasonable. So yeah, that's it. That is the Rolling Stones 100 Best Albums of 2022. Overall, not that great. Some good picks here and there, but for the most part, pretty safe when it got to the top area. Also, like, that JID album being so low is just a crime, in my opinion. So, honestly, Nevermind being that high and a few others. But that's kind of how these publications tend to play it, so it is what it is. Could have been worse, I guess. But yeah, that's it. That's my final thoughts. If you guys want, you can follow me on all my socials: Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, all that. And I'll see you guys soon.